All right, so let's jump into the demo that we talked about. And what we're talking about here is just those customer entry points, right? So how do consumers interact with you right now? That could be through digital channels or voice channels. And so I'll go over a few of those entry points right now. And we'll kind of start off with, what does that experience look like, for a consumer as they go through these kind of steps or these kinds of entry points. Looking first at kind of maybe a digital app or even a website that someone is coming to. Traditionally, when someone needs help, they need to, either pick up the phone, whether it's a digital experience, but we want to make that experience happen online, right where the point of pain is. So, including that way or the facilitating the approach of having that communication right in line is what we want to do. And in this case, it's having the consumer hit that chat button and start talking to the organization. The first thing that we want to do is we want to understand the intent of the consumer. Now, we can do that in a couple of different ways. We can obviously connect to back-end systems to understand who that customer is, what their history has been, whether it was their purchase history or products owned. And then we can start to understand the intent before the customer even hits the chat button. When they do start to talk to an organization, we want to front end the conversation with a virtual assistant who can then start to gather information to either resolve the issue or to pass that along to a live agent who can answer the question. So that's where we're starting here. We've got a customer who looks like they're looking for a tablet. The virtual agent decides that is a high value opportunity, and we want to pass this along to an agent who can then help them to do that shopping. So those are business decisions that an organization has to make. How far do we want to let the virtual assistant take a conversation? Do we want it to resolve the entire thing, or does it involve a human to take things a little bit further? In this case, the organization has decided that they want to engage an agent, and it seamlessly slips over to Philip here, who starts that conversation. So Philip will go ahead and he'll guide the conversation for that consumer and show them what the best tablets are and which one they should buy. But let's take a look at what that looks like to Philip, the agent in the back end, which is really important as well. So here what we're looking at is, again, a digital conversation. And the conversation's started here with a virtual agent. We can see the history of the conversation that the customer has started with the virtual agent, and it's been passed over to a live agent, and here's the live agent having that conversation with Jack. The agent also has context to the conversation, so they know that the customer has been authenticated. We know who the customer is. We know about their historical conversations with the organization. And if we want to reach into their CRM system, we've got the capability here to integrate with various CRM systems or any CRM system using some open APIs to get further context into the customer. And that happens right on the single pane of glass, right? We don't want them going off screen, going into their other CRM system and then having to come back and switch screens, because that takes time and effort. So here the conversation will continue with the agent. They'll resolve the issue using information or knowledge that they already have, or they can do a couple of things. They can use the smart responses, which are just canned responses that they might use on a daily basis, or they might use the agent assist functionality. And so the agent assist functionality, again, is the AI in the back end, text mining the conversation in real time and supplying potential resolutions for the customer intent. Now, what we have here is the agent assist is helping out the agents who need assistance, but we also have the capability for the best performing agents to help out the AI. And so they're voting up and down on possible suggestions, and that's training the AI to become more efficient. So we have this symbiosis, if you will, of agents helping customers, the AI helping agents, and agents helping the AI to get smarter and smarter over time. Now, with messaging, if you think about the nature of asynchronous messaging as you're using on your phone right now with your friends and family, you can handle 6 or 7 different conversations concurrently because there's large gaps of space between your messages and your interactions. So in the same light, agents can now go beyond handling 1 or maybe 2 conversations that they did in the past with web chat. With messaging, you can handle multiple different conversations, up to 5 or 6 different conversations because of those gaps between conversations. And so, switching between those conversations, we've made that really easy and seamless. And the agent can see, which of those conversations needs priority or has a customer actually waiting. So that was the, a conversation starting from the native app, and then we saw what the agent was doing. In a similar light, a customer can come to a website, start up a chat session as they normally would, and you'd have that same kind of assistance happening on a website. So nothing, terribly different in that kind of scenario. Another one that's really interesting, and this is a way that we can push consumers to a more cost-effective and digital channel, but we want to give them a choice, right? So, I can't remember how many interactions start with a customer looking for a business name. So they'll go into their phone, search for a certain business. In this case, it's 247. It might be a typical retailer. And they're going to click on that phone number to start a call because they have a question that they want to ask. And so, in that light, what Apple and Google are pushing heavily is this capability around messaging. And so when they do click on that number now, they're going to get an option to either continue with a phone call to that organization or start to message with you. And the bulk of the people are going to choose messaging because it's something that they understand. It's much, much more convenient than staying on hold on the phone or just holding the phone up to your ear and waiting for a response. So when those individuals choose messaging, and especially the younger demographic are going to choose that, they'll start off with that conversation. Again, this can be with a bot or it can be straight to a human. If that's what the organization chooses to do. But we want to allow the bot to do the front end of the conversation and to pick up the intent that the customer has and even resolve that. So, in this case, we want to authenticate the customer, and the virtual assistant will then push out a way for that customer to authenticate themselves. So if they have the name and password, or the username and password built into their platform, into their phone, they can authenticate using the built-in biometrics. We talked about those rich visualizations that an agent can push out. The bot also has the capability to push that out. So in this case, what the bot is doing is disambiguating, right? We've got to understand what the customer is talking about. So, he made a couple of orders in the past. Which order do we want to talk about today? And it happens to be, the first one. So using connections to back-end systems, order management, CRM systems, delivery systems, even weather information, the bot can quickly resolve customer issues using the information on hand. So in this case, it looked at the order management system, telling the customer that the item's ready for pickup, and resolving the customer issue very, very expediently. So that was the pre-call deflection, and what we did there is we moved from a very high-cost voice call potentially to a very low-cost digital and automated conversation. Now, something interesting happens when you have that messaging conversation with a consumer. What ends up happening is that your organization ends up in their message list right next to Mom and Uncle Jeff. So it becomes a very sticky platform for communication. And that's great for consumers because, you know, when they want to talk to you again, they're not going to pick up the phone anymore. They're going to message with you when and where possible. And so it makes it easier for them. For the organization, it's a much more cost-effective channel than chat or phone call. And especially when we can automate that channel, it becomes really easy and cost-effective. So when the consumer wants to have that conversation with an organization, again, they will, look at their previous messaging interactions and start the conversation again. Nothing formal here that they need to do. It just starts off with a hi or a hello, and the bot answers. And starting off with, how to understanding the intent of the customer. In this case, something might have been missing from their order that they recently had. And, in this case, it switches over to a human because that's the fastest way to resolve this particular customer issue. So really sticky channel, in order to have that conversation. So let's have a look at kind of the voice side of things as well. And I'm going to just let us listen to this interactive voice response using natural language. If you can't hear anything, just please do let me know.
Thank you for calling 24/7 AI Retail. How can I help you today?
I just received my latest order and it's missing something.
I can help you with that. Can you tell me your order number?
6J7865432.
Okay. Your order contains 2 items. Can you tell me what's missing?
I didn't receive my headphones.
I see here your headphones were shipped in a different package and should be arriving at your location tomorrow. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Nope.
Thanks for shopping with 24/7 AI Retail. Have a nice evening.
So, in that situation, the natural language quickly understands what the customer intent is. It has a high degree of understanding, even in noisy environments or when people are using slang or they have an accent. And so they can quickly decipher what it is that the consumer is trying to do and supply an answer. Again, this is connecting with back-end systems. So what I want to point out here is that, this was a voice journey, and those earlier ones that we saw were digital journeys. But we have this concept of once those journeys are built once on the platform, you can deploy them to both the digital and the voice side of things seamlessly, right? It's kind of a one-stop shop to do that deployment. So it's saving a lot of time and effort for the organization, and also giving it a high degree of consistency for consumers. So that was a simple IVR journey, and I want to show you a similar one, but this time using more of a visually interactive approach. So let's have a look at this one.
Thank you for calling 24/7 AI. How can I help?
I need to return an item and purchase for my Mac because it doesn't work.
The easiest way to return an item is to take it to the nearest 24/7 AI store. However, if you would like to continue your return here, it may be quicker to use your phone screen. Can I send you a text message with a link in order to begin?
Sure, I will try it.
Before we can begin, please sign into your account or select Continue as Guest. Please select the item you would like to return. Please select how you would like to return your item. Please confirm your email address. Great. You're all done. We will also email you a shipping label.
So, in that circumstance, again, customers trying to do something, but how do we make it really easy and cost effective for both the customer and for the organization by using those visually rich cards? And so what we saw there was the bot is actually pushing out those cards to the person's device. In the same way that the bot has done that, a live agent can do the same thing, right? So think about an organization that has to read out a disclosure statement that is long and is prone to error. In that scenario, if we pushed out a card and had the consumer click to accept the terms and conditions, that they understood those, that would be a lot easier for both parties and much more cost effective. In this case, what it was ensuring that a shipping label was sent to the customer and allowing them to return a product. So we made it faster for the agent and for the consumer. So those are a number of different journeys that a customer could have. And there's a couple more here that I won't go over just for expedience sake, but if you think about any kind of a digital journey or a voice journey, wherever it's starting from, we want to be able to have consumers have the capability to connect with you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to kind of the administrative side and just show you a little bit behind the scenes on how that works, and we'll just take a quick snapshot at it. But when we think about how do we manage customer experiences or enable the building blocks of that customer experience, this is the 24/7 Engagement Cloud Administrative Console. And it's a single console that allows you to build and manage those customer journeys at any interaction point, voice or digital. So it's a very modular approach. We can have you, if an organization simply wants to have simple questions and answers, whether that's by voice or digital, we can deploy that, or maybe they need more sophisticated conversations, allowing customers to resolve more complex issues or transact business. We can enable that as well. Do we want the conversation to be escalated up to a live agent? And so we would enable the Assist console, the agent console. Active share is what we saw earlier, where we can share those visually rich cards to consumers and able to accelerate the conversation. And then messaging. So do we want to deploy just to web chat, or do we want to deploy to other messaging channels? Google, Apple, Facebook Messenger. And again, it's very, very easy to deploy messaging. And all of those journeys that we've created over here on the conversational side would apply to both the chat and to all of the digital messaging channels, as well as the voice channel that we saw earlier as well. We've got some tools that are available to organizations, again, to accelerate the AI and to ensure that every journey is optimized so that those journeys can be completed in an automated approach instead of being escalated up to a live agent. So let's take a look quickly at the conversation builder side of things. And that is the approach to how we build out those journeys. So if you think about an organization, they'd have to go through a lot of work to implement this kind of a solution. We want to make that faster for them, right? We want to start off with all those necessary greetings to be pre-programmed. The social responses, people like to ask the bot how old they are, or how, where's the bot born? And so all of those social responses are pre-baked into the platform on day one, so that you don't have to do them. Escalations, the bot can sense when a customer is frustrated or angry and start to escalate conversations based on those business rules. So whether they're frustration or whether that's a deliberate choice to escalate the call to an agent, we have the capability to do that. And a lot of that is pre-programmed on day one. Conversations is where those intents are. So if you think about organizations, customers calling into those organizations, typically they don't have an unlimited number of problems. And what we see is that, you know, there's kind of a top 10 list or a top 5 list of customers who always call in for the same things. And so we want to look at that list of those top 5 or 10 things and start to automate them from most time consuming for the company and for the agent and for the customer, and automate resolutions to those. So, you know, for the retail side that we just saw, you know, I'm missing a package, or where is my package? That's something that can be easily automated. Let's start with that if that's something that's painful for the organization, and then work our way down to journeys that can also be automated that are important to the company. Now, as I said, on day one, we will have those conversations built out for a particular industry in advance so that they don't have to go in and build those out. When we talk about deployment, this is something that we generally help organizations do. And then once they have deployed, if they have the resources internally and they want to build out more conversations, they can either do that themselves very easily. And you can see here that it's kind of very much a you know, a drag and drop kind of approach to building out a conversation. It's not something that requires, you know, too much sophistication in the administrative user to build this out. And my apologies, it looks like I've timed out here, but very simple and straightforward to build. Where you do need development resources is, you know, on the API side of things. Yeah, we've timed out, sorry. To build out those APIs to connect certain things. But once you have built out, once you've built those out, it's very easy to reuse those APIs and, you know, use them for follow-on journeys. So I won't go into too much more detail here. There is one other solution that I wanted to direct your attention to, and that is something that we are having some significant traction with, and that is something that is quite different from what I've been showing you so far, but it uses the same artificial engine underlying things. So what that is conversational ads, or simply a personalization engine. So we have a product called Target, and what it does is it allows you to organizations to deploy dynamic ads for organizations and using artificial intelligence to optimize which ad should be shown to which kind of customer, you know, at any given time. And those ads can be, you know, visual in nature, and they can also contain a conversation within those ads when and where necessary. But if you think about an ad, you know, it could apply to some people, it could not apply to certain individuals, maybe based on time of day, type of device someone is using, and you know, maybe even the weather, right? If it's hot outside, you don't want to start, you know, advertising umbrellas. It's not relevant. You want to advertise something else. So we can use various different inputs, whether, again, that's something like weather, demographic, time of day. We can use a number of different factors to optimize advertisements and when and where they should be shown to particular users. This can have a tremendous impact on click-through rates and return on ad spend. So it's something we should maybe just you know, explore in follow-up calls. But if any of your sellers have organizations they deal with on the marketing side of things, on the advertising side of things, this is a product that can optimize their existing spend on advertising and push a lot of results for the organization in terms of click-through rates and return on ad spend. In this particular case, what we're looking at is an advertisement here that appears on a third-party site. It happens to have the capability to have a conversation from within the ad. And so that is extending the reach of your customer service organization or your selling organization far beyond your current organizational reach. So, in this conversation, someone had gone to a 247 site looking for information. And here they can have a follow-up conversation based on what they had looked at in the past. They can see visualizations of comparisons of products, perhaps, or read up more on those products, and then make a decision on what it is that they want to do, and click right through to the place where they need to make that purchase, right? And you'll see here that conversation follows them right through to the final destination to make their purchase.